Okay, so excited to get started today. We have Sumer.tatangelo with us. She is a local financial advisor. And since I deal a lot with folks who are interested in investing or purchasing a home here in Santa Cruz County, I thought it would be a wonderful idea to talk directly to a financial advisor. So, Sumer, we're so happy to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves before we get started?
Of course. Hi, Kaelin. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here as well. Yes, so my name is Sumer.tatangelo, and I have lived here in Santa Cruz for about 20 years. I studied finance at San Jose State University, just knowing that ultimately I really wanted to be able to help people with their personal finance. And I have been lucky enough to be in the field now for about 6 years. And I have a beautiful family, my husband and my little baby Meadow. She's 2 years old. And we love it here. We love going to the beach and hiking and just everything Santa Cruz has to offer. So it's a beautiful place and we're happy to be here.
Great, great. So let's just go ahead and get started. So a lot of people don't know where to begin when it comes to investing and planning for financial goals. What do you find to be the most important first step for someone to take?
It's definitely just creating the goal in the first place. I think that a lot of people think that their goals, whether it be retirement, buying a home, buying the boat of their dreams, whatever it might be, is a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I really think just like anything else in life, whether it's weight loss, learning a new sport, saving for goals, you really just need to identify what that goal is, and then you can make a plan and proceed forward with it.
Definitely. So when people come to you for the first time, what do you find to be the top three things that people have questions about?
I'd say number one is typically retirement. That's top of mind for a lot of people, regardless of their age. A lot of people have 401ks at their companies. And so when they first start working in their 20s, it's something they're introduced to and something they're thinking about. So that's one of the biggest things that comes up. When can I retire? How much do I need to save to retire? I would say secondary to that is investment management. So people have money maybe sitting in a checking account and they know that they can earn something in the market, but they're not exactly sure where to start. So that's a big thing that we help with as well. And I would say the third thing is usually education planning, more for people our age in their 30s or so who have young children who are thinking ahead about and want to start saving funds for that goal in the future.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. What is something that you find that people do not save for, but it's important to do?
I would say, interestingly, even though I just mentioned that people come to us about education, I would say the bulk of people kind of overlook that goal.
Yeah.
It's interesting because next to buying a home, education is actually the second most expensive purchase in our lifetime, at least for most of us. And if you have multiple children, it can actually be the most expensive.
Wow.
But people don't tend to think about it. And I think the reasons why are when they have young children, they think they have a lot of time. And so they think, oh, my 1-year-old and college is 17 years away. I don't really need to think about it. Or they underestimate what things will cost in the future. When you account for inflation, college expenses really increase at a rapid rate. And so we'll look at the cost of college today and say, oh, I can manage that when my child is ready to go to college. But really the price is going to be significantly higher once they actually kind of reach the finish line and get there. So education is definitely something that as a society, we really should plan for more, which you hear all the time about student loan debt and people struggling with that. So you kind of see the outcome of that. And that really is a result of not planning ahead for that goal.
Right. And so when people hear that and they hear like, oh, inflation, I remember when we sat down with you, seeing that figure and hearing that figure of how expensive sending our daughter to college would be was startling.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be, because instead of just having that money sit in your bank account, you can plan ahead and have it build. So it doesn't have to be just the burden on you. You can have your money work for you, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that kind of leads me to the concept of compound interest or compound earnings over time. And really what that is if you're starting to save for your daughter today and you put $100 in that education savings account, that $100 is going to earn interest or dividends. And then that interest and dividends then grows and it builds over time.
Mm-hmm.
What we kind of almost call a snowball effect over time is your money is working for you. So now it's not just the $100 that's working, it's also the $5 you earned on it is now earning money, right? So, and the earlier you start that, the better. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the key, is just start saving early for those goals so that the market can work for you as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So a lot of people I find that I meet have questions about, credit score and just credit in general, what's best, etc. So what are your thoughts on people utilizing credit? Is there a good rule of thumb to follow?
Absolutely. So I would say in general, you want to use credit sparingly. There are also good types of credit and bad types of credit. So when we're thinking of a good type of credit, we're thinking of something that is a loan that will help you generate wealth or increase your earnings over time. And the two primary ones there would be a mortgage on your home, right? Because as you pay down that mortgage, you're paying yourself and you're building equity. And the other would be student loans within reason. So we don't want to go and take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans to get a good job if we're not going to be able to pay that money back. But student loan within reason, in theory, will increase your earnings over your life, right? So that's what we would consider to be good debt. And then bad debt, we all know credit cards, right? So not only are the interest rates on credit really high, but a lot of times if we're buying something on a credit card and we're not paying it back at the end of the month, meaning we have a bill, that means we really couldn't have afforded the purchase in the first place. And that's really the opposite of building wealth, because now you have perhaps a thing that you bought, but you're having to pay interest on the money you spent, and you have to kind of dig yourself out of that hole. So it's kind of working in the opposite manner. And so that we really want to avoid if possible.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people have that mentality of that is actually what the credit cards are for. Credit cards are for those instances that you necessarily can't afford something and you can just pay it off over time, when really that isn't the best route to go on if you're trying to build wealth for your future.
Right. Not at all. I mean, I know a lot of people that are great with their credit cards and they'll use them all throughout the month. And then at the end of the month, pay their bill. And they're doing that to get the airline points or to help their credit score. And if that's something that you can manage, that's an excellent way to use credit. But if you're going to have a balance, it's just another payment you have to make. Like I said, the interest is usually extraordinarily high, which makes it really hard to kind of get out of being buried, because you find yourself making the minimum payment and it's not even covering the interest that was charged for the month. So I would say I would avoid it. And, in our society, we're a society who we like to have things and we like to purchase things. And it's kind of a mindset change where you have to just make the choice. Do I want that thing? Do I need that thing enough? Or can I use that money to build wealth? Because really our resources are finite, and it's a lot of times it's kind of the choice of one or the other.
Right, right. So what is your response to people who say they just can't afford to invest or plan for their goals because they live paycheck to paycheck, or they're, utilizing their credit cards?
Sure. Well, I would say financial planning, which is something that we do, helps people really take a deep dive into what they're spending. And I think the best way, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, is to find what you can cut out, because there's almost always something that you can eliminate from your monthly spending that you really don't need, to create money for yourself. A lot of times that's kind of those random subscriptions we all have. My boss the other day went through his iPhone and there was a subscriptions tab, and he was looking at a subscription he didn't even remember he had. It was $50 a month. There was another one that was $35 a month. These are kind of the automatic charges that we don't really pay attention to. I really think that if you really take a deep dive and look at where everything's going, we can always eliminate something and create money that you can then use to save or pay down credit.
Right. And I felt like that was such a key component to when we sat down with you and we kind of looked at our plan, was going through that process of really writing down, filling out that template that you had given us to really see where our money is going. Because as you're making these payments or these automatic payments, they're kind of one piece at a time. But then when you're forced to look at things as a whole, it really puts things into perspective and you say, oh my gosh, that actually does really add up, especially when you add it to all these other things we're now going to eliminate that are not contributing to the happiness or well-being of our lives anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it can be a painful process for some people to really that deep dive, just because it takes time, right? To kind of look at where all of your money is going. But I really, truly believe that it's so worth the time, because once you have the information, you can carry forward. And like you said, it took some time to do that, but then you go eliminate that. And then you start to watch your savings grow. And it's really, I think once you get on the other end is so worth it.
Especially just taking that first step to get that first step out of the way. And then when you have the plan, you're able to say, okay, well, my goals have shifted. I want this in my life now. You know where you have to move things around. It's allowing yourself to take control rather than flying by the seat of your pants, ultimately.
Yeah, that's a really good way of stating it. I totally agree.
Okay, so many people want the American dream, which is to own a home. What is the best first step toward finding out if this is in someone's financial future?
Well, I'm going to sound a little redundant here, but I'm going to say create it as a goal. And for us, the home buying process took a while. It took a couple years with your assistance and patience to get us there. The goal doesn't necessarily have to be something that's happening in any time frame. It can be a short time frame or a long time frame, but we really want to identify what it is and when you want to accomplish it. And that's really how, like I had mentioned before, we get anything done. Most people who create goals and create plans have more success than, like you said, people that fly by the seat of their pants or don't make it a priority. I would say next to that is you really need to find somebody like yourself, Kaelin, who knows the market and who is an expert and can help you find what you're looking for, so that you're kind of in that aspect as well, not just the financial piece, but also as far as everything there is to offer in Santa Cruz County. I mean, you have the mountains, you have downtown living, you have beach living. There's so many different options, homes, condos. So you really want somebody in your corner who knows the market and understands it and can really help guide you where you want to go and help you find the home that you're going to be happy in.
So what are some good ways people can plan for home ownership?
So planning for home ownership, again, I feel like I'm kind of going to reiterate what I was just saying. It would really be creating a budget, setting a goal, and like I said, finding someone to help you. So I think that's a little redundant. One of those could get removed.
Right. What are some ways you as a financial advisor can help them reach their goals?
Well, as a financial advisor, we take a look, like we talked about earlier, at someone's whole picture. So we really sit down and get to know who they are, what their goals are, short-term goals, long-term goals. And ultimately, our job is to maximize their investments and also try and help protect on the downside. So our job is to help your money grow while you're going out and hustling and doing whatever you need to do to earn it. We then kind of take care of helping it grow and keeping an eye on it so that you don't have to worry about it. And then we couple that with our financial planning, which is really, like I said, getting really deep into the data of where are you today? What do you have today? What is your debt or wherever you're at? And then helping you figure out how to move forward step by step. So this is how much you need to save every month to reach this goal, or these are the things you need to eliminate from your budget so you can create funds for this goal or whatever it might be. So it really is a holistic approach when it comes to finances, of helping them grow, protecting it as well, and then also just getting kind of deep into the data and figuring out steps to get you where you need to go.
Nice. Services, what is the best way for them to contact you?
Well, I can be contacted on my cell phone, which is 831-421-2595. Call or text is completely fine. And I also have a work cell that's 408-663-6417. My email address is going to be in the text below. So any of those work, and I really look forward to hearing from anyone who has questions about planning for their future.
Wonderful. Well, this was so helpful. I hope to have you again sometime soon. I'm sure people will have more questions for you. This was so informative.
Thank you.
And until next time, thanks so much, Summer.